My name's Dan Rochon. I may not have met you. You may not have met me. I'm filling in for Cari today. She asked for me to show up because she's on the road, and I'm also your, I guess, your presenter today as well. So welcome. I'd love to see you guys if you're available to turn your cameras on, and that way we can interact a little bit more effectively. And when I can see you, you can see me. Then we can learn more effectively. So I invite for you to turn your cameras on. Hello, Brian. I see you driving there. Oh, you're on mute. You're on mute, but I see you talking. I see you driving. It's all good. Pay attention to the road. I don't want to screw you up there, man.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Yes, sir.
Yeah, my daughter just is handling this for me while I'm driving her home from hockey camp.
Hockey camp. All right. That's exciting.
Yeah, I should be home in about 5 minutes. So I'm just wanted to get it on and hear what's going on in the meantime.
All right. Well, thank you for being here. Hello, Jennifer. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Lisa, hello again. Would love to have you guys on video because then we can interact more effectively. Or at least if you could just say hello. I'm okay if you can't get on video. I just want to make sure that you can hear me and I can hear you. Well, anyways, we are live on Marketplace. So hello, Marketplace. Hello, not Marketplace. Take all that back. Hello, Family Tree. That's what I meant to say. Hello, Family Tree. My name is Dan Rochon. I am a real estate agent just like you. I've been an agent since 2007. I've been a coach for many, many years, and I'm a recovering brokerage owner as well before I joined EXP. So I'm grateful to be a part of the family. I'm grateful to be able to be here with you today. Today, what we're going to talk about is thank you, Jennifer, mentioned that you can hear me. That's fantastic. Today, what we're going to talk about is the self-coaching model. And what the self-coaching model is a model that psychologists have taught for many, many years. They discovered this, and it's about the way that the brain works. And it's about the way that your brain works and my brain and all of our brains work. And it's also about the thing that causes us to fall into traps over and over again. Have you ever, maybe it's you, maybe it's somebody that you know, have you ever experienced where you've gotten the same results over and over and over again? Has that ever occurred in your life? Has there ever been a time where you knew that you wanted one outcome and you really worked hard, you really, you strived, and yet you didn't achieve it? Has that ever occurred to anybody besides myself? I have a friend. Hello, Denise. Welcome. Hello, Denise. Welcome. How are you? Thanks for joining us. Love to see your. Hi. How are you? Where are you from, Denise?
Lafayette, Louisiana.
Lafayette, Louisiana. I'm from Northern Virginia. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
All right. If you have your video available, I'd love to see you. If not, that's okay as well. But I just find that you get more out of these conversations when we can see each other. So I have a friend who, and you may have a friend like this as well. And I remember when I got my license in 2007, I remember about 3 months after I got my license, and I was scared to do this, I went to her wedding in Hawaii. So again, I live right outside the DC area, and she marries this guy named Ray. And it was a beautiful wedding, a fantastic, fantastic wedding. However, fast forward 6 months, a year, 2 years, 24 months. That's the same as 2 years, by the way, in case you didn't catch that. Fast forward, and guess what happened? Ray was a deadbeat. Ray was somebody who abused her physically, emotionally, mentally. He abused alcohol, he gambled, and I think I'm on workplace, so I'll say he womanized. That's the polite version of what I just censored myself. That's self-censoring there. He wasn't a good dude. And so Kelly divorced him. Oh, shoot, I just finished her name because I said his name. All right, I didn't mean to do that. So she divorced him. The lady divorced the guy. And that's fantastic, right? I'm like, okay, that's great. I felt better about the divorce than the marriage. I mean, the wedding was fun, right? But it is what it is. And so then guess what happened 6 months later? Guess who she meets? a different version of the same guy. And she dates him for however long she dates him, breaks up, does it again, does it again, does it again. Well, it wasn't until about maybe 3 years ago. So this is, over 16 years or so. It wasn't until about 3 years ago that I get a phone call from her, and I find out she's moving across the country. She's moving to go with family. She's moving to change her circumstance. And so you may have somebody in your life right now that is like just dating that deadbeat and breaks up, and dating that deadbeat and breaks up, or some sort of version of that. And you may even sometimes wonder, like, what the heck? Like, why would somebody do that? Well, we're built to do that. And I'm going to teach you today how we're built to do that. And I'm going to teach you today what my friend did to change her circumstance and what you can do as well. Would that be useful to you today if you can learn a tactical step-by-step approach to being able to change patterns of suck? Okay. Or to be able to enhance the patterns of greatness, the patterns of pleasure, and the patterns of gems. So I'm going to invite for you to go ahead and take out a piece of paper. If you're anybody but Brian, Brian, you can just like embed this in your brain if you could. And at the top of your piece of paper, I want you to write down a word at a 12 o'clock position. So we're gonna use the entire 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, and at the dead center of that top, call it a 12 o'clock position. We're gonna write down the word circumstance. And I'll give you a second to write that down. So what do we mean by circumstance? The circumstance is just whatever it is. Maybe it's raining outside. That's a circumstance. Maybe the interest rates have risen the fastest that they have in the last 40 years, almost of all time. Maybe the inventory and the buyers and the supply and demand equally is 50% than it was a year ago. That's just a circumstance. Maybe during the pandemic, hundreds of thousands of agents entered into our marketplace as competitors. Maybe you're one of them. Thank you for entering. Welcome. But maybe you're a more seasoned agent, and that's a circumstance. These are circumstances. What can you do about circumstance, by the way? Nothing. If it's raining out, it's raining out. You can't do something about the circumstance, but you can do something that surrounds the circumstance. So when you have that circumstance leads to something, which I'm going to ask for you on the about 2 o'clock position on your piece of paper to write down the word thoughts. So it's raining outside. Some of us may have the thought, man, that sucks. Some of us may have the thought, oh my goodness, my grass is getting watered. That's awesome. That's amazing. In Northern Virginia, we've had over the last 3 weeks some horrific, and I know this is across different parts of the country, some horrifically nasty storms, like 80-mile-an-hour gust of wind. And I've got these big chestnut trees that line my property that I'm really, really grateful for. And those trees have had the opportunity to sort of prune themselves out because I've been spending the last 3 or 4 weeks cleaning up the mess. Again, that's just a circumstance. And I can have a thought about it. And the thought about it can be like, man, what a pain in the butt. I got to go and do yard work. Or I can have a thought about it. All right, cool. You're going to make my trees healthier. It's rather inconvenient for me to deal with this right now, yet I know when the trees prune themselves out, next year they're going to thrive even more so. That's a thought. Your thoughts, I want you to write down in the about the, what is that, 7 o'clock? Hello, Jake, welcome. Lead to your feelings. I'm Dan, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Dan.
So your circumstance in the 12 o'clock position, your thoughts in the 2 o'clock position, your feelings in the 7 o'clock position. And so now, again, it's raining outside. That's the circumstance. Let's go into negative perspective here if we could. I don't recommend it, right? But Many times that's the way our brains do this. So it's raining outside. Man, that sucks. That's the thought. Now, what do you think is going to come next when I have that thought of that sucks? I'm going to have a feeling of a sucky feeling. You guys aligning with that? Don't get scared. We're going to change this here in a few minutes. Just we're going to stay in the world of suck here for a second longer, and then we're going to get to the world of gems. So now over here, so we've got the circumstance, the thoughts, the feelings. It comes from the feelings around the what time is it? I think I said 7 o'clock over here. That's not 7 o'clock, for our preschoolers. Yes, thank you. That's about 5 o'clock is what I meant to say. So now we're at 7 o'clock. I got to wind my clock up, and we're going to say actions. Nobody, please tell my daughter that I screwed up the time on the clock. She'd be proud of me. So, it's raining outside. That's the circumstance. I got sucky thoughts. That sucks. I got sucky feelings. Oh, now what are my actions going to be? If you feel like crap, do you think you're going to take powerful actions, or do you think you're going to take crappy actions? Yeah, you're going to take poor actions, which are going to then lead to your results. Now, here's the trick to this, the challenge with this. The challenge with this is that these are all connected so that one leads to the next. And by the way, this is called what the psychologists call the self-coaching model. So you may also hear therapists talk about a part of this, the thoughts, the feelings, and the actions, as mindfulness or zenfulness or stoicism. Okay, so you've heard any of those phrases. Those phrases are embedded within what I'm teaching you today, and I'm going to unravel that here for you as we talk. So the self-coaching model: your circumstance leads to your thoughts lead to your feelings lead to your actions lead to your results lead to your circumstance, and that propels itself over and over and over and over again, which is why my friend I told you about earlier dated the deadbeat, broke up with him, dated the deadbeat, broke up with him, dated the deadbeat, broke up with him, because she kept putting herself in a circumstance that caused her to think, I'm not worthy, I don't deserve a good man, which made her feel horrific about herself, which made her then go take actions of dating a guy that was a deadbeat, which was the result. And that perpetuated itself. Now, in the case of my friend, she broke that cycle. God, I'm thankful to God for that. And how does she break it? She broke it by changing her circumstance. She moved across the country. He moved to a new place. She went from one corner of the country to the middle of the country, and she went to go be with family. She changed her relationships. She changed the geography. She started hanging out with people who were uplifting to her, who were inspiring to her, who were encouraging her, who would push and prod her, rather than the deadbeats that would beat her down, physically and mentally. So, if you want to change this, the path to this rests within the circumstance. So now let's talk about the circumstance that we're experiencing in real estate sales right now. I mentioned some of them. Why don't you guys shout out to me? What circumstances are we experiencing in real estate sales right now? What are the things that we don't have control over?
Interest rates.
Interest rates.
Supply.
That's a circumstance. What else? What was that?
Supply.
Supply and demand.
Mm-hmm.
Interest rates. Supply and demand. I shouldn't have picked this. I took the same marker twice and made the same mistake. So supply and demand, circumstance. What else? What else is a circumstance that's outside of our control?
Affordability.
Portability. Love it. What else?
Lisa said inventory.
Yeah, inventory, supply and demand. Yeah, inventory, supply and demand. Okay, so these are some of the things that are the circumstance. Now, let me give you a little thing here right now. If I share with you where those circumstances that we have right now, and if you see an opportunity, then you can suddenly change your perspective on reality. And here is what I believe strongly and what the economic indicators are indicating. We have an opportunity in front of us, but the opportunity is not today. The opportunity is 12 to 18 months from now, probably closer to 18. And what is that opportunity? Who here besides me has talked to somebody in the last 60 days to 6 months and said I would sell and buy if I didn't have 3% interest rates and have to pay 6.5% or 7%? Has that occurred to anybody in this conversation? Yeah. Okay. Now, unfortunately, that's going to exist moving forward for a medium period of time. Yet, it is predictable that at some point, when inflation finally, sort of tapers down, which it is, it's tapering down, but when it really gets to a place of stabilization, or if the administration changes, in either of those cases, it's predictable. What do you think will happen to interest rates at that point? We know it's predictable they're not going to go to 2%. Can we all agree on that?
Right.
All right. Do you think that it may be predictable that they lower just a bit, maybe in the 5% range?
Yeah.
Okay. Now think through this. And when do you think that may happen? I think it may happen in the next 18 months. And that's what a lot of the economists are suggesting as well. Okay. None of us have a crystal ball, right? Yet that's what many are predicting, including myself. When that happens, all those people that you've talked to in the last 6 months, 60 days, 10 months, there's going to be a pent up demand for the marketplace. So that is when you're going to have to put your roller skates on. Now, from here to there, guess what? You're going to have to grind it. You're going to have to hustle it. And you're going to have to rock and roll. And I'm telling you the truth. I'm not telling you the truth to make it so that you're going to be pessimistic or defeated. I'm telling you the truth so that you can then deal with it. You guys okay with that? You have to grind it out for a little bit, but I'm going to tell you in the medium future, there's going to be an opportunity for those of us left standing. I'm going to be left standing. I promise you. I don't have a choice. It's either this or wait tables. Those are the only two things I've ever done in my life. Or go back to the army, right? Well, first of all, I'm too old. Secondly, there's no way they would take me, right? And there's no way I would go. Okay. Right. Those are the only three careers I've had in my life: military, waiting tables, and real estate. Okay. So this is it for me. All right. So let's go back to this. So the circumstance lead to the thoughts lead to feelings lead to actions lead to results lead to circumstance. And if this is a closed loop, and if these are some of the circumstances that we're dealing with right now, then what could you do to be able to change your circumstance so that, or you change your thoughts? So you can't necessarily change the circumstance, but what you can change, what you can control is your self-programming. There are some things that you could choose to do in your life. And I'm the type of guy where I don't want to sit here and say, hey, do this, and then make it like, man, that sounds great. And then nobody does anything. So I'm going to give you some choices. And my recommendation is to pick one or two or three, just one. If you pick one of these suggestions I'm about to make to you and you implement it in your life, then I will be grateful that I was able to help you, and you'll have a benefit from it. So here's some things that you could do to change your programming, which then changes your circumstance, which then changes your thoughts. You could choose to do things like meditate. You could choose to do things like visualize. Control your affirmations. Read. That's why I wrote the book Real Estate Evolution. This is a book that took me 13 months after I sold the brokerage I used to own. I had 150 agents who worked in that brokerage. I sold it 2018. I wrote this book. It's a 90,000 word manual document to show you the step-by-step of how to have no broke months. They mentioned in my bio, I got my license in 2007, and I've had no broke months since April 2008 was the last month I had zero. Okay, of all the things I've done in this real estate market in my career, the one that I'm most proud of is the 16 years with no broke months. All right, like nothing else that I've done, and I've done some pretty cool things in this industry, for me, makes me more proud. And I'll show you how to do that in this book. Podcast. Relationship. Exercise. Well, let's take a look at these. So I mentioned to you, I'm going to encourage for you to implement one of these. So I want to talk to you about each of these briefly. So, meditation or mindfulness. Okay. I'm going to give you a meditation. I'm going to give you a tool for that. And I'm going to give you a mindfulness exercise that you could choose to do. You could choose to go onto YouTube tomorrow morning and type in there on YouTube on your phone, 10-minute meditation. And there are tons and tons and tons of meditations in there. And you could then take that meditation and start your day off with it. That's something you could choose to do. You could choose who here has anxiety or depression or anything like that besides myself. I got great anxiety, just so you know. Sometimes people don't want to raise their hands like that. All right, a couple people. So the next time that you're feeling that anxiety, the next time that you're feeling that stress, the next time that you're having the reverberation of those thoughts going through and through and through and through your head, the rumination of it, I want you to take a moment and go into this model here and ask yourself, write this down. There it is. What am I thinking? What am I feeling? What am I doing? And just take a moment the next time that you're feeling that stress, the next time you're feeling that anxiety, maybe a deal's falling apart. Maybe you went on a listing appointment, you didn't get it. Maybe you don't have enough business right now to pay your bills. Maybe you're fighting with your wife because you're chasing the dream and she's uncomfortable or he's uncomfortable because they're in a 9-to-5 and you're chasing the dream. And it seems like, what the hell are you doing to our family? And that's causing you stress. But the next time that you're in that place, it doesn't matter what the circumstance is, right? I'm giving you some circumstances, right? The next time you're in that situation, just stop and ask yourself, if you can find a quiet space, maybe go in the bathroom. That's where I go sometimes to get yourself away from people. Close your eyes and just say, what am I thinking? And just recognize, take a moment and just recognize, what am I thinking? Then, what am I feeling? And just acknowledge your feelings. And then what am I doing? And I promise you, when you do that exercise, I guarantee it that your stress will dissipate. I guarantee it. So if you've experienced that, if you experience anxiety like I do, that exercise, it's called a mindfulness exercise, will help you. Visualization. You know that the brain cannot discern between a crystal, vivid visualization and reality. You could, again, I'm only going to ask you to pick up one of these habits. You could choose to visualize. For many, many years, I go to the gym, and when I finish with the gym, I go into the steam room or I go into the jacuzzi, the hot tub, and I visualize vividly. I easily help 10 buyers or sellers buy a home, sell a house, or invest in real estate every single month. and I see it. I see the closings. I see me taking the listings. I see me solving the problems. I see me cashing the checks. I visualize it as though if I'm Tiger Woods going up to the tee, or, Kobe Bryant when he was alive going up to the free throw, and visualizing that action and visualizing the ball just swishing, 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 swishing. And I visualized that for so many years that I didn't even recognize when my visualization became a reality. Okay. Now, I'm not going to get all woo-woo with you on you, right? My belief in life is it's not the secret. It's the secret plus action. Okay. Because you can go sit in a hot tub for the next 24 days and visualize something, and you're just going to get really, really pruny if you don't go take action, just so you know. Yet, when you visualize it and when you're crystal about it, your brain doesn't know the difference. For me, it was probably a year or two after I had the achievement, and I was still visualizing before I was like, holy crap, doing this. And I was already doing it. And then it was like, man, that is freaking cool. Affirmations. Whether if you believe in what I'm sharing with you or not, I guarantee you, I promise you that you already use affirmations right now if you actively do so or not. Now, for most of us, for many people, we don't recognize that we're doing the affirmations. We go and we stub our toe on the table, and we say, "Oh man, that was dumb." That is an affirmation, and it's an affirmation that does not serve you. Now, you can't control your first thought, but you can control your second. So next time that you catch yourself, boom, oh man, that was dumb. Wait, I made a mistake. It hurts. And I will focus on being more attentive moving forward. That's also an affirmation. So you get to choose. Now, just like going to the gym, if you go to the gym and you've never been to the gym before, and I put, 100 pounds on a bench, on a barbell, and you press that up, you're probably going to be a little bit wibbly wobbly. Okay. For some of us, if you go, then it's no big deal, right? But for some of us, that may be a little bit of a struggle. Well, if you go tomorrow and you go the next day and you go the next day, you go the next day, one day you're just like, oh, okay, nice and easy. It's really no pressure, no stress at all, because you practice it. So if you choose to do affirmations, and you choose to do affirmations in a more segmented way, like the meditations, then you'll practice the affirmation so that you can position yourself so that when you hit your foot on the table, you're more naturally going to say something that's empowering rather than something that's defeating. Les, I did that affirmation video about 2 weeks ago. If you could put a link into that into the chat, because I did an affirmation video for you guys to practice. If you're interested of a tool, because I want to give you tools for all of this. If you want to choose to use affirmations, go ahead and click on that, and we'll go in the comments on the workplace, and we'll put all this stuff in the comments there as well. Exercise. Exercise changes your programming, which changes your circumstance, because it gets blood flowing through your veins. It gets blood flowing through your heart. If you looked at the body, and I was in my chiropractor's office a few years ago, and it was the first time I really, really got this. It was the skeletal system, not the skeletal system. It was the nervous system. So it was the brain, and then from the brain was the nerves going down the spine, and then the nerves going through the body, right? And then it was the first time in my life I actually recognized that the entire body is physically connected to the brain in that manner. Okay? And that's when I finally clicked to me to say, wait, so when I exercise and my blood is flowing, it's not just in nourishing my body, my physicality. It's also nourishing my brain. And when it nourishes my brain, I've already shared with you, I have anxiety, I feel better. it releases the hormones that allow for me to feel better. And guess what? When you feel better, what type of actions do you think you're going to take? Better actions. Relationships, just like my friend that I told you about earlier today. It wasn't just the relationships of the guy, the deadbeat after deadbeat after deadbeat, but it was the relationships of those that she lacked around her. And it wasn't until she moved, halfway across the country to surround herself with family members who were caring for her, who were loving to her, who were inspiring to her. Now, this is a tricky one because some of us, and I've been there, I'm not there now to gratefully, maybe in a situation where it seems as though the relationships that you have suck. Now, what do I do about that? Particularly if it's a relationship that you made a promise to. I'm not going to advise you on that, except for the fact of you're not limited in the relationships that you could ever bring into your life. Okay, you can always engage in a friend. You can always engage in a coach, a mentor, a role model. You can always bring people into your life that will inspire you, that will lift you up, push you, encourage you. Okay, Cari and all the great people here in this group, they are some of the people that do that. So if you're lacking that right now, that's sort of a separate conversation if you're in a difficult relationship. And I'm not qualified to be able to comment on that, but I am qualified to suggest that you consider to bring empowering relationships into your life. And for those relationships that you're a little bit more easily can get out of, consider to do so. Okay, because none of us need somebody that's defeating. None of us need somebody that's holding us back. We all need somebody to hold us and love us and care for us and freaking inspire us, all of us. So I encourage for you to be considerate of the relationships you bring into your life. Podcasts and reading. Each morning, that's one of the things that I like to do, more the reading than the podcast. But when I'm doing yard work, I'll typically be reading. I'll more be doing audibles, but sometimes I'll listen to Tim Ferriss or something like that. I do the No Broke Months podcast for real estate agents. We do that every single day. We publish that. And so I interview some great, amazing people. I interviewed Cari a few times, Sean Kokoska, just some amazing leaders in the industry that come and inspire on the No Broke Months podcast. So these are some of the things that you could choose to be able to do. So those are some things that you could choose to do. Now let's talk about some things. And again, I'm just going to recommend to pick one or two or three, but one. I'd rather you just pick one and freaking do it. Would you be willing to do that tomorrow? Would you be willing to take one of these? Oh, and the exercise, I should have said this. We don't need you to go do CrossFit. You don't have to go skiing today down the Black Diamonds, the double Black Diamonds, right? I mean, unless you're fit for it. Take a walk. You could compound some of these actions. I've got an agent that I coach in my community, in the CPI community, consistent predictable income community, who she's busy. And she's like, Dan, how can I exercise and still make my calls? And I'm like, Bosma, put on a freaking headset, go take a walk, put on a stride. And if you go walk a mile or two or three, that's more exercise than what you've got in the last 5 years. I said with love and kindness and caring. Okay. Yeah, the relationships I earned the right. I wouldn't say that to somebody, first meeting. And she's like, okay, yeah, you're right, Dan. And so now what does she do? She takes an hour at lunch every day. She's one of these people. She's like just calling. She takes a corkboard. She takes a clipboard. She puts her paper on her clipboard. She takes a pen. She puts her earbuds in. Dial, walk, dial, walk, talk. So, hey, I don't have time. Okay, great. You got the same 24 hours I have. You get the same 24 hours the President of the United States has. We all have the same 24 hours. So that's a little bit about exercise. So now let's talk about, so these are some things to add into your life. Now let's talk about things to retract from your life. I mentioned to you before that I live in the DC metropolitan area. I live about 10 miles from the Capitol building. And I was teaching this class on January 6th, 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, I guess. And I'm a pretty intentional guy. And so I teach this class, and then I get done with this class, and then I go and do my lead generation, right? I'm going through my files here. These are prospect files, and I'm going through, because again, I coach agents, but I am a real estate agent. Okay, so I'm going through, I'm calling my prospects, whatever. I teach this class right about, I'm in Eastern time right now, it's 2:36. Let's say I'm done at 3. I call for a couple hours, I go upstairs, I'm not on the internet, even though I've got all my, my tools up on there, but I don't go down the bunny trails. I go upstairs, I turn on the TV, and oh my goodness, what's happening 10 miles from my house? I saw the absurdity of the fact of that occurring, and regardless of what this isn't a political conversation, it's just something happened. Okay, now, how did that something happen? You had a group of people who had some thoughts, had some feelings, did some actions, had some results, and then this perpetuates itself. No judgment, just acknowledgement. If you watch, so here's some things, here's a way that you can help yourself to stay away from those agitated or pissed off thoughts if you consume the media. Once upon a time, I used to consume the media a lot. Today, I choose not to. Today, I consume my media by Bing. I go on Bing about once a day, and I go onto the news feed, and I just sort of check out, see what's going on. But once upon a time, I had one of the major broadcast channels on almost every single time. But here's the thing. If you watch CNN, if you watch Fox News, if you watch MSNBC, if you watch any of these big network channels that are 24/7 news, I guarantee you that you're going to watch it for 20 minutes and you're going to be agitated. You're going to be pissed off, maybe even. And what happens when you get agitated? Because they're sharing things with you that make you think like, man, that's messed up. And now I'm agitated. What type of actions do you think you may take? You may take the actions of what happened on that day 2.5 years ago that I was literally teaching this class when that was happening 10 miles from my house that I had no knowledge of. And that's when I sort of connected the dots after the fact. I'm like, wow, I just taught this class and I'm seeing this in action. No judgment again. It's just observing it. That's all that I'm doing. You could choose to add some of these into your life, and you could choose also to remove some things that are not feeding your soul. Some things that are maybe even agitating you a little bit, such as the consumption of the media. Now, I'm not suggesting to not be informed. I'm suggesting that the media intentionally pisses you off because it keeps you coming back. And then they can charge more money for the advertiser. All right, it is a business. And it's a business that's intended to be able to agitate the public. So these are some things that you can do to be able to change your life, to be able to change that cycle of pattern. I want to finish with a bonus here in just a few moments of giving you a tactical way that you can increase your business, because I mentioned to you, I have had no broke months since 2008. And I want to show you here in a few minutes how I've done that. Before I do so, I want to take a break because it's a little bit of a new concept. Share with me your ahas, share with me your observations, share with me your thoughts or questions about what I've talked about thus far today. And you can feel free to take yourself off volume. You can feel free to type it in if you're on Workplace. We may have somebody monitoring that. Type it in. We'll see what happens. We'll see if the message gets back to me. What are your thoughts? What are your ahas? What are your observations? What are your questions?
This is Denise. I like that mindfulness that you stop and do that. What am I thinking? What am I feeling? What am I doing? That has been, we get wrapped up in life, and that you really need to stop and really feel that emotions, and it can kind of give you insight on what to do next. So that was big.
I had lunch about 3 hours ago, I had lunch with a young lady, or not a young, well, young, well, medium size, a medium age lady. She's got a 17-year-old son, and she was agitated as can be. And I said, well, what's going on? She says, I woke up and there's a case of empty beer cans, and her 17-year-old was drinking last night, and she was like just in her brain, right? And it's hard to be able to give that in the moment. Okay. But I gently, because we had lunch, I said, well, what are you thinking about it? I didn't be like, hey, what are you thinking? What are you feeling? What are you doing? Right. But I let it guide the conversation where I could be empathetic and listen, but also gently coach her as a friend, not as a coach, how's that make you feel? Okay. Well, I mean, what are you going to do about it? And so that's helped me to lead the conversation with her. So it's good, but for yourself, first of all, you're not going to often have a conversation when you're in the moment with somebody that is skilled at coaching you on that. It's an unlikely event, but you can learn the skill. Jennifer says visualization, manifestation, allowing good things to happen has been coming up in different ways in different areas of my life. And it's become apparent that this is an area that needs work for me. And Jennifer, I acknowledge what you're saying, and I thank you for sharing that. And that last sentence of this is an area that needs work for me. You may consider, Jennifer, to edit that to this is an opportunity. This is an area that I'm going to choose to work on. And the reason why I'm going to edit that needs out of there is because need is a lacking scarcity word. So when you approach life with the word need, then you have scarcity if you need something. All right, so just consider just a small little tweak right there. Adding and subtracting is what Brian said. Makes sense. You like that. Thank you, Jennifer. All right, what other ahas? And then I'm going to go through a framework here in the last 18 minutes to show you how to have no broke months. It's going to be quick. All right, you guys feeling good? You got your paper out still? Turn it over or grab a new piece of paper. We're going to go through this rapid fire. I want you to think from a place of no BS. And I'm going to give you my answers as though if I was a new agent 16 years ago. I want you to think from a place of the no BS. Why do you sell real estate? And before you answer that question, let me share with you what I'm not looking for. I'm not looking for the answer of, I want to change the world. I'm not looking for the answer of, because I got because my real estate agent sucked and I knew I could do a better job. I'm not looking for the answer of, I want to bring clean drinking water to the Sahara Desert. What I'm looking for is, when I started, my answer to that question was, so I never have to go back and wait tables again. I'm looking for the no BS. Why do you sell real estate? Is it because I have to pay my mortgage, or I'm 2 months behind on my mortgage and I got to pay my bills, or I got to pay my rent? Or maybe it's because I'm going to tell my ex-husband, screw you, I don't need you, I got this without you. Or whatever it may be real. Why do you sell real estate? And then once you write down the answer to that, I want you to ask yourself the question, what's important to you about that? So whatever that reason was, I'm doing this to show my husband, my ex-husband, my ex-wife, I don't need that person to be beating me down, psychologically, and I can do this without you. Or I do this because I want to be able to buy a Tesla. Or I do this because I want to be able to provide for my family. Whatever the answer is, what's important to you about that? And so now if you're following along and you're doing the work, you should have two answers written down. The first is, why do you sell real estate from the no BS perspective? And the second is, what's important to you about that? And I'm going to ask you a third, and then we're going to move on, because I told you we're going to rapid fire for this. You're going to ask one more question. What's important to you about that? And yes, it's the same question as the second question. And for your homework, what you're going to do is you're going to continue asking yourself that question. What's important to me about that? What's important to me about that? What's important to me about that? Until you get to an answer that sings to your heart. You'll know when you get there. It's going to look something like this. I sell real estate so I never have to go back and wait tables. What's important to me about that? Well, what's important to me about that is I hate waiting tables. It's too much work. Okay, well, what's important to you about not waiting tables, doing too much work? Well, I want to be able to live a life that's by design. And you're going to keep going down that until you get to something that really, really inspires you. I'll share with you what mine is today, which is I sell real estate to be able to care for my daughter, to be able to provide her with the private schools that can take care of her and teach her with her dyslexia, so that she has all the tools and resources to be able to conquer life on with the greatest terms and the greatest tools and resources available to her, which to me means I'm a worthy dad. I hope you can see being a worthy dad is something that sings to my heart and how that could sing to my heart. So you ask yourself the question, why do you sell real estate? And that answer of what's important to you about that. And then everything in between, all the work from the first question to the last that sings to your heart, you're going to swipe that left, and now you're going to put it together. You're going to put it on a sticky note, and you can take that sticky note, you're going to put it on your keyboard. So now you place that on your keyboard. That's the why. Thank you, Lisa. I want to be able to provide for my family, get out of retail and security. And Lisa, what's important to you about that? What does that provide to you? For a long time, it was about me being worthy. Okay. And when you get that, you put that you put that on a sticky note, and you put that sticky note onto your keyboard. And the more clear that you have in this answer, the more powerful that this tool will be. We're going to get back to that here in a second, okay? Before we get back to that in a second, and again, I'm teaching you right now, I've had no broke months since 2008. This is how I've done it. You're looking for a magic bullet? I don't have one for you, but I can tell you how to have no broke months. I can tell you how to do it. I can give you the step-by-step instructions, which I'm doing right now. The next thing that you're going to do is you're going to take and you're going to say, what are my superpowers? What does my wife say I'm freaking awesome at doing? My husband, my best friend, my cousin, my sister, my daughter, my son. What do I say I'm great at doing? We don't have time to really discover through this exercise right now, but you're going to go and you're going to ask yourself that question of what are my superpowers? And you're going to go and you're going to really, really dive deep into your superpowers. So, what makes me special? What are my strengths? What are the things that I do with joyfulness, that I do with ease, that I do without effort? Not necessarily in real estate sales. Maybe it's you play tennis. Maybe it's that you're a gardener. Maybe it's that you're empathetic and you make other people feel good about themselves. Maybe you're athletic. Maybe you pay attention to detail. Maybe you have the ability to be able to have a vision and see things that other people can't see. You have God-given talents, and I'm encouraging for you to take a moment to acknowledge those God-given talents. And as you acknowledge those God-given talents, write them down. Now, this is part 2 of your homework because you don't have time to do this all right now. So part 1 of your homework, why do I sell real estate? What's important to me about that? What's important to me about that? What's important to me about that? Part number 2 is, what are my superpowers? What are my strengths? Part number 3, if you're playing along right now, get a new sheet of paper. All right, so this would be your 4th sheet of paper. Your first one, you did the self-coaching model on. Your second one, you did the why do I sell real estate? Your third one, you did what are my superpowers? And now we're on the 4th piece of paper. Here's your 4th piece of paper. you're going to write down what are all the ways I could make sales. Not like what you could do, but what are all the ways an agent could do? I could do a billboard. And you may like say, well, I can't do a billboard because I can't afford a billboard. I understand that. Okay. But you could do that. You could do for sale by owners. I don't want to do for sale by, I understand that, but you could do that. Expired, YouTube videos, Facebook advertising, door knocking, open houses, networking, sphere of influence marketing, sociographic marketing, client appreciation events, pay as you go referral sites like Upnest and Ideal Agent and Clever, Elizabeth Clever and Ojo and Op City. And you know, you get the referrals and then you convert the referrals and you give them a 30 to 35% referral fee on the back end. These are all ways you could do business. And there's many, many more. So I want you to brainstorm. So I'm giving you enough. So what is today? Today's Tuesday. This is your work from now till the end, you know, from now till the end of the weekend. Okay. Like this is a little bit of work for you guys, right? But I promise you, you do this work this week, you'll have clarity on how you can have no broke months. So now we've got all the different ways, and there should be like 87 different ways you can find business. Okay. And I want you to really, really brainstorm, be in a place where you have your mind open. And I gave you a little bit of starter. I gave you some things to start you off, but that's far, far from complete. And you write down all the different ways you could do business. Then you take out your sheet number 3, which is your superpower. And you take those 2 sheets. This is what I want you to do this coming Sunday. And you put them side by side each other. And now you just simply match. And you say, what are the things over here that I could do? What are the things over here that are my superpower? So now, if my superpower is I'm relationship based, I come into a room and I touch people when I talk to them, and I you know, not inappropriately, right? But maybe I, you know, tap you on the shoulder, right? And you know, and you feel great. Other people tell me that they really, really feel great when they're talking to me, and I'm comfortable in the conversations, in the relationships, and I'm comfortable making a, you know, starting a conversation with a stranger, and it's not a problem. And if that's what's over here on my superpowers, that's just an example. By the way, that's not me, in case anyone's wondering. But we'll make that me. See, that's me. That's a new affirmation. I'm redesigning my life. So if you have that over here as your superpower over here, now you look at all those 87 options and you look, which of these over here match up with that superpower? You may find something that looks something like open house. You say, what is the skill set necessary for me to be successful at an open house? I'm easy to engage in new conversations. I make people feel good. I'm somebody who is really engaging in my conversations. Let me circle that one. And this is the exercise that I encourage for you to do. And over here, I want you to circle 1 to 3. 1 to 3 options, no more. Now, 2 last things to put together for this recipe. Take out a new sheet of paper. I didn't tell you guys you had to bring a notebook, did I? I'm going to give you your job description. Your job description, I in my coaching community that you can find at nobrokemonths.com for the CPI coaching community, we teach this this model. It's called it's called CPI time. CPI time is your job description. These 5 things make you money. Number 1, lead generate. Number 2, convert the leads to meet with you. Number 3, meet with the people for the purpose to get hired and show homes. Number 4, negotiate. Number 5, practice your scripts and role play. And Leslie typed that into the chat there, and we'll type all these notes into the workplace here when we're done as well. So number 1, lead generate. Number 2, convert the leads to meet with you. Number 3, attend the meetings to get hired and show homes. Number 4, negotiate. Number 5, practice your scripts and role play. That's CPI time. That's working in your business. I'm going to give you 5 of working on your business. This is called leverage time. And we're going to wrap all this up here in the next 4 minutes. Your leverage time. Recruit talented people to your organization. Number 2, select the right people to be in business with. Number 3, train those people so they can achieve their goals. Number 4, lead those people so they know how to think so they can achieve their goals. And number 5, motivate those people so they can reach their goals. I'll say those 5 again, unless we'll put it in there. Recruit talented people to your team. Select the right people to be in business with. Train those people to achieve their goals. Lead those people so they know how to think to reach their goals, and motivate those people to reach their goals. So now you got 5 things in your business. You got 5 things to work on your business. I'll give you an 11th one, which is manage your money. So if you're writing this in notes, on the right side of your paper, you have 5. On the left side of your paper, you have 5. You got 5 is CPI time, 5 is leverage time, and then you do a lasso around that looks like an infinity sign. And that infinity sign, you write down leverage your time. I'm sorry, you write down manage your money, excuse me. Now, lastly, let's put this together. You circled on your paper how. You understand what, which is CPI time. The only thing that's left is when. My recommendation is immediately in 3 minutes from now, when I shut up and I stop talking, you do one thing and one thing only. You get out your calendar and you put down 1 hour, 5 days a week on your calendar that you're going to lead generate. I'm not telling you to do it 3 hours. If you want to do it 3 hours, do it 3 hours. But 1 hour is more likely to happen. Write down 1 hour on your calendar. Do it first thing in the morning. And that's the first domino of everything. What are you going to do to lead generate? Whatever your how that you circled, that's what you're going to do. When are you going to do it? The first hour of the day. What happens if you choose not to do it? If you choose to get distracted, then you look at that sticky note. I sell real estate to be able to provide for my daughter, so I'm a worthy dad. Now, does this mean that you have to do your job? No. But if you choose to not do your job, I want you to look at the reason why, that compass that I told you we started this class with, or this section of the class, and then I want you to make a choice. And I'm not judging on what choice you make, but I am acknowledging if you choose to not do your job, it's going to be harder for you to be able to do why you say you're doing, which may be pay your bills, which may be so you don't have to go back and drive an Uber or wait tables, as my case was many years ago. Now, I know I threw a lot at you guys today. If you're interested, at the end of this month, I'm hosting a 5-day listing challenge. It's a free class. You can go to www.5daylistingchallenge.com. That's the number 5daylistingchallenge.com. And you can learn the tactics over 5 1-hour sessions that are live and 5 1-hour sessions that are on demand. You'll learn the tactics and the strategies. And it's a free class. It's online. It's from noon to 1, and I don't know the dates, but I know it's at the end of this month, and maybe Les will help us with the dates there. So I invite for you to visit www.5daylistingchallenge.com, save your seat. I got 1 minute. I'd love to hear your ahas, questions, or comments. What you guys got? Now take a breath. Did I give you enough today? Denise says yes. Brian, did I give you enough today? All right. And if you want more, August 28th to September 1st, please join me. All right, guys. Thank you for your attention today. Until the next time we interact with each other. Thank you, Aaron, for the compliment. Till the next time, I'm going to ask you to have the best day of your life. Be grateful, make good choices, go help somebody, and go find a listing. God bless you guys.
Thank you very much.